friends, my name is Payal and I'm your own study abroad expert. तो इस वीडियो बताएंगे कि आपको कौन सा एग्जाम लिखना चाहिए। तो आप हमारे साथ इस वीडियो के एंड तक रहिए, क्योंकि बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट्स हमारे पास आजकल आ रहे हैं और बोल रहे हैं कि मुझे इस कंट्री में जाना है, मुझे कौन सा एग्जाम लिखना है, क्या मुझे आईएलटीएस लिखना है, पीटी लिखना है, टॉफल लिखना है, या मैंने आईएलटीएस 2 बार लिख लिया, मेरा क्लियर नहीं हो रहा, अब मैं क्या करूँ, क्या कनाडा में पीटी एक्सेप्ट करते हैं या फिर टॉफल सिर्फ यूएस के लिए है। तो स्टूडेंट्स के दिमाग में बहुत सारे क्वेश्चंस हैं, सो लेट्स ट्राई टू आंसर सम ऑफ दीज क्वेश्चंस टुडे. So as I said, before I proceed forward, I want to remind you, if you have not subscribed to our channel till now, please subscribe to our channel right away so that you don't miss all these latest updates that we keep posting every other day. And stay till the end with us so that you can understand the difference between these exams and make the right choice. Now, different exams that we have for these countries. So most of the time people go to UK, USA, Canada, Australia. And these days people are also going to Ireland. So usually people do not go to Dubai, Singapore and all these countries because they do not give you PR. But all these 4-5 countries that I'm talking about, Australia, UK, Canada, USA, Ireland, they're the hot destinations for many students for their study, because eventually they want to get settled in these countries. And in fact, Germany is also one of the preferred destinations in the recent times. So now, which exams you should write? So English exam that you should write is very important, because we belong to countries where English is not an official language. So therefore, if you want to go to these developed countries, you need to write an English exam mandatorily. So either you take IELTS, which is International English Language Testing Services, or you take PT, which is Pearson Test of English, or you take TOEFL. So these three are the important exams, and you can take either of them. So the next question is, which exam should I write? So IELTS is accepted all over the world, whether you want to go to Europe, you want to go to Canada, US, anywhere. And this exam has 4 sections: listening, reading, writing and speaking. But one problem that people face with IELTS, because of which they prefer to write PT and TOEFL at times, is that in writing and speaking you have manual evaluation. So which means you can never be sure of how you have performed. It all depends on how the examiner judges you. हो सकता है आपने बहुत अच्छा एग्जाम दिया और आप सोच रहे हैं आपका बहुत अच्छा बैंड आएगा, लेकिन एग्जामिनर की नज़र में आपने बहुत सारी मिस्टेक्स की और वो आपको आपका डिजायर्ड बैंड नहीं देता है. So it's difficult to predict what kind of band you would get, and that's one reason why people have started preferring PTE, which is Pearson Test of English. But that's applicable for Australia, Denmark, Netherlands, and now it's being accepted in the other in other countries as well. If you want to go to UK or you want to go to Canada, then also you can write PT, and it's a little easier exam. So PT is a computerized exam. So although you have the same sections here, listening, reading, writing, speaking, as you have in IELTS, but it's different. Like in IELTS, all these 4 modules, they have limited question types, and you don't have a lot of them. Like in reading, you will have a passage to read and answer the question. But when you talk about PTE, then you have lots of question types. So it would definitely take you some time to understand the question types. But at least if you learn the strategies how to crack the exam, there will not be that doubt in your mind that whether I will get a good score or not. Because if you have, if you really practice those AI scored mock tests, which you should get or which you should practice on with PTE, and you're getting a good score there, then mostly you will get a good score in the actual exam also. Because since it's a computerized exam, there's a certain there's a certain way that all those responses should be given and all those question types should be dealt with, because it's a software, it's a machine, so it will definitely follow some protocols or some kind of software or some rules. But when you talk about manual evaluation, rules don't work always, because there's a big element of human judgment where you don't have any control. So that is why people also go for PT these days. But although IELTS is always the first choice for many students, because in few countries they may not accept other exams. Then you talk about PTE. So as I said, the different question types. For example, in listening, it's not only about listening to the audio and answering the questions. You will have read, tell, lecture, highlight, correct, summary, and in fact, find the missing words. So similarly, in reading, you have arrange your jumbled paragraphs, or fill in the blanks. So you have different question types here in these sections. In writing, you have summarized written text, and you have an essay as well. And in speaking, you have describe image, then you have read aloud, and write from dictation. So there are multiple question types that you need to understand. But once you understand them, then it becomes easy to crack, because once you understand what kind of responses would give you a good score as they're being tested by the computer, then your scores would remain kind of consistent, because as I said, there is no manual judgment involved. So that is why PT is becoming quite popular. And then you have TOEFL. So TOEFL is was initially considered that this is an English exam, which if you're planning to go to US, then you should write TOEFL. But now TOEFL is also accepted in Canada and other countries, but it is mainly for study visa. If there are people who want to go for migration, then IELTS general training is the only choice with them. They can't write any other exam. But when you talk about study visa, then you have different choices: IELTS, PT, TOEFL. And then there was this exam Duolingo, which also came in in the COVID, because a lot of people could not really clear these exams. And then number of admissions also became less. So all the universities abroad, they relaxed their admission requirements, and then they introduced this exam Duolingo, which is a 1 hour exam, as compared to all these other exams, which are at least for 2.5 to 3 hours exam. So, and the level of Duolingo is very less. So, but now, since COVID is all gone, only few universities are accepting Duolingo, whereas a lot of other universities are coming back to changing their admission requirement back to IELTS, PT, TOEFL, etc. So writing English exam is mandatory if you want to study abroad. Even if you want to go for migration, you need to write IELTS, which is compulsory. And if you want to do your masters, then as we've discussed in our previous videos, GRE is important, and GRE is not only accepted for masters in United States of America, but also it is accepted in a lot of B schools, business schools. Whereas GMAT is an exam which is accepted only in the business schools, and SAT is for your undergraduate program if you want to do your bachelor's, especially in United States of America. So these are all about different exams that you can write, and depending on which country you want to go to, you can choose your exams, and it also depends largely on which course you want to do, and that will also decide which exam to write. So whenever you want to choose to write exams, you could always shortlist your universities and go backwards. So English exam is anyways mandatory, that you need not really worry, and you could choose any of them: IELTS, PT, TOEFL. IELTS, still remains the first choice because it is accepted all over the world. PT and TOEFL is gaining popularity now, and it is being accepted in a lot of universities in UK, Canada, etc. And so you could write any English exam, but if you have to write any other exam with that, that depends on the course that you choose. So as we've discussed in the previous videos, if you want to do masters in computer science, then GRE is compulsory for the universities in United States of America. So I hope this video was useful and you got some good insight on which exam to write, and that will give you clarity on how you should start your preparation. और ये question तो बहुत लोगों के दिमाग में आता है, and I'm sure आपको इस वीडियो से काफ़ी हेल्प मिली होगी और आपके दिमाग में क्लैरिटी आई है. And you can always contact us for IELTS trainings and PT, TOEFL, all the training and the entire university admission process. We would help you end to end with the entire process. And if you've not subscribed to a video so far, just remember to subscribe to us today. Do not forget, because we're going to have a lot of updates, not only about subscribe to us today. Do not forget, because we're going to have a lot of updates, not only about